let's see. So we will start, the interview. And for anybody who hasn't seen the first two episodes, this series is called Philly's Future Fashion Phenomena. And each live stream, we interview someone that we feel is on the rise in Philadelphia's fashion industry. And we interviewed so far Isaiah Bryan and Nicole Ryan from the Maid Institute. They both recently graduated and presented collections at Philadelphia Fashion Week. And this time we are interviewing Taylor Alyssa, who also recently presented at Philly Fashion Week as a part of the Maid Institute. So how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, thanks for asking me to do this.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm curious to see what your brand has to offer. And one of the first questions I have is, can you explain the origins of your brand's name?
Oh, Higher Eye. So it's pronounced Higher Eye. And my brand's name has changed multiple times, actually. And I was searching for words that, kind of stuck, and nothing was sticking too much. They were kind of not elevated. And so one day I was pulling from the word hierarchy, because a big thing for me is I want this to be like a women-run hierarchy. And so I played around with the word and I came up with Higher Eye. And people ask me, they have asked, is it a play on higher eye, like your higher eye or your third eye? And I didn't necessarily pull it from that, but I do like the idea of that as well, so we'll go with that.
Very cool. It's such a neat way to come up with a name. Let's see. So, now, did you have a name for your first collection, or, okay.
No, so, I kind of I thought about it, and then I'm like, maybe it'll just be my premiere collection. So that's just kind of what it is, my first.
Isaiah, I'm sorry.
First of many.
Definitely. I didn't mean to cut you off. But Isaiah was saying, he says it's like, like a television show. It's like the pilot. It doesn't have a name. It's just like the first episode. I thought that was a great comparison. So, what was the theme of your collection?
Well, with this collection and with anything that I want to do, I really want to represent like bold, strong, vibrant, powerful women. And so that was what I was hoping to translate in my collection. So you let me know how I did with that. Because I want it to be really, strong for the women. So yeah, I know how I did.
Awesome. So, in terms of inspiration, were there any films, movies, artists, etc. that inspired you for this collection, or any like visual references that came to mind?
I have my sketches right here, and they changed slightly.
Oh, very cool.
But I don't know if any movie references or anything like that. I don't think I pulled anything from like the media or anything like that, but I would say I pulled some inspiration from nature. Like when I'm outside, I'm the happiest. So I pulled a lot of, flower references, which I have right here. Maybe you can see a little bit, which I tried to do. Look, it's kind of like,
wow, that's pretty.
So I wanted to do beading and flowers and things like that. And my mother's background had a play into the inspiration that I pulled. So she was not born here. She was born in Korea. So I wanted to kind of like bring that into the collection. maybe I did okay with that.
Yeah, that's very. We'll take a look at the pieces and see where we draw the similarities. Very cool. Let's see. So, what techniques and materials did you use within your work?
I used materials that are like flowy and dainty. However, with some of them, I took a silk, but then I interfaced it and I lined it with a batting to give it that, more rigid feel. So I took something that's dainty and delicate, but then I made it more rigid, which maybe has like a little bit of a play on the powerful women theme that I'm going for. So I used silks, I used tools, I used chiffon, I used a lot of beads for beading on things. I did quilting. Um, what else did I do? I learned a technique that is used in like making quilts, which is called mitered corners, which is shown here. It's how they do the corners of their quilts.
Very cool. Neat.
To learn. And then Rachel Ford lends me this tool. It's a hot tool. It's pretty cool. It's a circle. It's like a wand with a hot circle on the end. And you take it and you press it into silks or, whatever organic materials. And you can actually form flower petals.
Very, very neat.
So that was fun. I cut my mother actually helps me with this, but I cut like hundreds of flower petals, burned the edges of them, dipped the fabric in gelatin to kind of harden it and give it some shade, put some beads on top. It was a whole.
That's awesome. It's like so neat to learn all the intricate details that you throw in there and like the process behind it, because people don't realize how much goes into just one look alone.
Absolutely. Don't know what.
Did you say anything? Because it cut out.
I said, yeah, you really don't know what goes behind, something unless you see the behind the scenes. That's why I love to see Chanel's little YouTube videos that they put out where they show all the handwork. That's why it costs so much, because there's insane amounts of handwork that goes into these things. So.
And I agree, her flowers are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The details, impeccable. They look like so realistic too. Yeah. Now, in this process, did you collaborate with anybody in any part of it? Just out of curiosity.
No, actually, other than the help that I had gotten from like the staff at Maid and Rachel Ford, my mother helped me a tiny bit with like forming flower petals. Other than that, I kind of just did everything myself.
Awesome. So, how would you describe your collection aesthetically?
Again, I think like this is going to be a very, very, very common theme for me. It's going to be a lot of feminine references, and now that is going to be different to everyone, but this is just my interpretation of it. So for this collection, I used my take on feminine colors, so deep reds and these kinds of pink colors and different red and pink beads and things like that. So lots of feminine references, I would say, with this aesthetic.
From what I can see, it's kind of like you have the more obviously feminine part, on the outside, and then on the inside, it's that structured, strong insides of a female, like her strong will and her ability to overcome. So, like, don't judge from the appearances on the outside, because on the inside, there's a lot of strength underneath the surface. That's what I see.
Right. Thanks for that.
Yeah. And also, too, it's, for me, like, the red almost could be like the passion she has for the things that she's trying to achieve in her life.
Absolutely.
But that's just my observations.
Yeah. Well, and we're all going to interpret it differently.
Let's see. Now, what would you like your audience to take away from this collection?
And see something. I mean, for my first collection, I hope I did a good job with construction. So that's first and foremost. But I really just want people to see, beautiful art that I create. However, even more so, more importantly than that, and I've said this so many times, but this is something most important to me, so I'm always to stick with this, and I always stick with this. It's that, like, if I were just creating clothing, it would be one thing. I would just be another clothing brand. But for me, I hope and I pray that I'm able to create a platform to speak out to the people, mainly like the women, because I'm a woman and I have a woman's story, so that's what I can relate to. And I don't know exactly how I will go about this, but I think in time that it will just unravel naturally. It's just going to unfold how it does. But yeah, to create a community space for the women, and maybe we put on events where we go and we speak out on whatever, and we can go and we can dress up and we can look beautiful and we can uplift one another, and that's my most important thing that I hope people are able to take from everything that I do.
It's a great message, and it's also great that your collection can connect to something deeper and more almost like tangible in a way, because if you have these events and things like that, you can see it all come to form.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what was the design process like for you?
For me, it was a lot of ups and downs, because I finished my schooling, I finished my classes, and then COVID hit, which meant we could not go into the studio. I couldn't go fast. Calls in that sense. And so it became difficult, and honestly, I was really down about it. And I was like, and then I would get back to it because I love what I'm doing. Like, I love what I do. So I would, go back into my sewing room and I would put some work into it, and I would be on a roll, and then I would hit another wall, and then I just wouldn't do any of it. And then I think 2 months before the fashion show, everyone at Maid was kind of pushing me and asking how much do I have done. I don't think I had one single thing totally. It was 2 months before the show. I did not have one single thing totally complete. Maybe I just had like a couple zippers to put in or the lining to drop in, but nothing was totally complete. And one day I just sat down. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this done. And I knocked out all 5 of my looks within those 2 months. And then I walked across the stage. So that was my process.
Well, that's awesome, and it's very understandable because of what you do is very, very hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
I've been an online student this entire time for this degree, for fashion journalism. That's what I study. I will say it did make me get used to kind of not having the energy of other people around me to like keep me going. But I can imagine when you're so used to being in that kind of environment, and you know, and also too, just like getting out of your space and actually like being inspired by other things around you. I can imagine that is such a dramatic shift.
It was. But hey, we pulled through.
Yeah, and that's all that matters.
We really did it.
And it's kind of like the beauty of the process, you know. It's not always about everything that, like, you know, every step of the way, everything's like, you know, perfectly in order. Like sometimes you just have to go with how the, you know, how your creative mind and everything is going. Because you know, especially like even with writing and stuff, you get such blocks, and sometimes you just need to go and just like take a walk and just forget about everything for like 5 minutes, and just then you go back and you're like refreshed.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. So, what were some major steps you took to create this collection? Like, kind of give us an idea of the process steps in terms of like construction and whatnot.
So, thank God I had learned what I did with Maid, like my pattern making and draping and things like that. I think pattern making is the most important thing. To bring something from the paper to a muslin mock-up to then the real fabric. But I was using some techniques that we hadn't. It was just too specific to what I was doing. For example, these corners that I had shown you with quilting. So I was inquiring with some, you know, ladies who do quilting, and they were, you know, teaching me the shortcuts of how to do it. And I saw how to do a lot of it online. You know, we can learn mostly anything online, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I learned that I was using a lot of opposing fabrics. For example, I have like my one pink riding pant has like a leather suede, but then it has a softer woven material, and it was like they were really opposing and they were working together strangely. And then I have like this stretch for my tan bodysuit, or it's a two-piece set now. But for that, I used a stretch material, but then I attached a leather piping with it, which was like a rich, you know, material. And those didn't work together. It didn't work, and it was, you know, sometimes it was frustrating. But I think overall things worked pretty well. There's definitely things that I would say, okay, I'm not going to do this again. But it was all fun. It was good learning.
Yeah, that's what's most important, because you never really can fully anticipate everything that could be presented as a challenge until you try it. Kind of like kind of like with this Facebook Live thing. The first one, no problems. Ever since then, nothing but problems. But you adapt and you try something else.
Funny, you have an idea in your head, like, okay, I draw this out and it looks beautiful on paper, but then you start to create it and sew it together. You're like, oh my god, this does not work at all, and it doesn't look. You should have seen some of my mock-ups. It, oh my gosh. I made this dress in this one right here.
Okay.
So it was going to be sheer with beading on it. I ended up just scratching the whole look. But my gosh, when I made that thing in practice fabric, it was like blue fabric and green fabric, and I just had to scratch it because just from there it was like the most terrible thing in the world. I'm like, I can't even look past the mock-up version of this. So it got scratched, the whole thing. But lots of things don't work.
I can imagine. I mean, just like the differences between, and this is a little bit different, but semi-related. If you took like, you know how like people always, when there's like a live action Disney movie or something, there's always like commentary about like, I didn't like the dress too much. It wasn't quite like the cartoon, or I loved it, or it was better. You just never know how it's going to go, because you're translating something, you know, from a drawing to real life, and it doesn't always translate in the way you think it's going to happen.
Kind of funny.
So, how has your education at the Maid Institute impacted your abilities, confidence, or other aspect of design experience?
Yeah, so I had known basic sewing from my grandmother, but then I ran into a lot of issues because I didn't know how to actually construct a garment. So my education at Maid taught me literally everything, even like on the business side of it and how to proceed past just okay. Now I have a garment. Like what can I do after this? You know, the business side of it and how can I sell things if I want to sell with a boutique or just on my own. You know, things like that. So they taught me the foundation of everything that I know. But on top of that, they gave me a lot of confidence to do what I'm doing because I'm going to tell you, before the show, the day of the show, I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't want to walk across the stage. I'm scared. I don't like to be seen. Like, I'm not a very public person. So I'm like, I don't know if I can walk across the stage. They're like, no, you're going to do it. And I did it, and it was great. And I did a little dance across the stage like I wanted to because that's me and that's what I wanted, you know, the people to see of me. And so they gave me a lot of confidence. And then even doing the Maid Pinterest page, you should check that out, by the way, because we have built it up a lot. But even doing that, at first I did not want to have to go on Instagram and like promote it because that's what, you know, they had asked me to do, promote the Pinterest page on my Instagram. I'm like, no, 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 I can't do it. I don't want to be seen. And they pushed me to do it, and I do it no problem now. So a lot of confidence has been built. A lot of friendships have been built. I've gotten multiple jobs through connections with Maid. So it's been awesome. You know, if you want to be in a setting where it's a lot more personal, because I've already gone to college and I wasn't trying to do like the whole college thing over again. I just wanted to learn what I wanted to learn, and that was it. And that's exactly what I did. But I gained a lot more personal experience than I think I would have at like a bigger school. So that was the most important thing for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Personally, I've been looking at Maid Institute for fashion illustration just because I would love to get more experience with that, and because I just like to do it for fun.
Mm-hmm.
See how that goes.
Yeah. That was actually my favorite class is fashion illustration. It was taught by this woman. I'm forgetting her name, but she also taught at another school. Really, really, really great person. I am so sorry that I forget her name, and I don't know if she teaches there still, but I'll think of her name. But she was awesome, and we all went from not being able to draw, and now we can draw. So I'll leave you with that.
Yeah, I checked out one of the like little webinar type things that they did one time, and I found the person leading it for the illustration. She was really good.
Right.
I can't remember her name though either, but she was very good.
Yeah.
So, what was your experience like presenting at Philly Fashion Week?
There were a lot of emotions, of course. I was happy that I had even finished because, like I had told you, I wasn't even confident that I was going to have a collection finished. But with all the pushing that I was getting from my peers and my classmates and my family and the Maid staff and everyone was just really backing me to have something finished instead of putting it off another 6 months, which I'm really grateful that, you know, it went that way. So the whole day it went by so quickly. It just was a whole blur. You know, I got down there early. The Philly Fashion Week team did my hair and my makeup, so I was so grateful, you know, to them for that. And there's just so much going on backstage, but I love it. And I think maybe it was Rachel Ford who said, you're going to go backstage, because I had helped out at other shows, previous shows, before I had helped out backstage. And I loved it. I loved the whole scene. She said, it's chaotic and it's overwhelming, but you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it and you're never going to be a part of it again. And I have been a part of it multiple times, and I hope I am a part of it for many, many, many more seasons. Because it's just a lot of fun, and it's a really cool chaotic, and you get to see the other designers and their work, and you get to see multiple forms of art, the hair and the makeup, the designers, the directing that goes on behind it. So there's a lot of different things going on. There's a lot of different personalities. It's an awesome time. And then, I'm waiting in line to go to show my collection. I'm super, super nervous. Again, because I don't want to be on the stage, but I'm going for it. My girls walk, and then we're about to flood. So then they're about to go for the second time, and I'm about to go behind them. And Prajay was the one behind, sending the girls out. And I'm like, okay, do I go now? Do I go now? Do I go now? And he's like, not yet, not yet. And I just went, because I'm like, nope, you have me waiting too long. And and I went, and I did a couple dances across the stage, and I saw my family in the front row, so it made me very emotional, because I hope I, make my people proud. And that's how it went. Excuse me. But it's a great time. It was an awesome experience, and maybe I'm gonna do Atlantic City Fashion Week next. Who knows?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's great that we have at least a few different fashion weeks kind of in this area. So it's kind of great to see like different markets and things of that nature.
Right.
I also wanted to say, yeah, that's kind of a reason why I want to branch those fashion phenomena into related industries, because everything works so in line with each other, especially with fashion shows and stuff. And my sister and my mom, can't tell with me because I'm horrible at hair. They're both cosmetologists. So they do the hair and I do the fashion thing. So it's kind of a nice little combination. So, what are your plans for your future collections? Do you have any started at the moment, or anything you want to talk about, like a work in progress, or the theme of it, whatnot?
Well, I had taken the couture class at Maid, and we learned how to make corsets, which I love. I love the corset. I have in the process, in progress. You can't see it too well, but it's a corset. And it's just been sitting here unfinished. Why? Because I don't have a working grommet press. So you little thing that presses deep.
Yeah.
Back. It's just been sitting here. I made a matching panty bottom to go with it. It's a look. And it's just sitting here unfinished. It's like the cause of my headache right now. But, so I would really like to do, different corsets. I went and got a really nice fabric today that I want to do corsets with. I think I'm going to, because it's just me, of course, doing everything. So I think I would like to do a lot of one of one pieces, sell them as one of one, and then as I start to build up, then I can maybe outsource some of the production, so I don't have to be making it all myself. That's ultimately the goal. I hope I am able to do that. But here's the thing with me. Here's my thing right now. I don't post anything on social media, and I know I have to. So right now I'm working with some people to help me with social media marketing and things like that. So I can start having the confidence to just put my pictures out there. I can never push my product if I don't simply post a photo of it. you know. So that's where I am right now with everything. Um, and yeah, just start pushing my photos out there, working with different photographers. I've worked with some really cool people already. Um, Different models and things like that, and just get the product out there for goodness sake. So, but again, most importantly, like I hope eventually I am like building a platform, because here's the thing: our voice is one of our biggest blessings that we've been given. If I keep my mouth shut, no one hears my message. But if I open my mouth, maybe one person hears what I have to say. And I want to always be, pushing a really awesome message for the people. So,
Good idea, and sounds like you have a great direction to follow. And
thanks.
For I was gonna say, yeah, it's funny with all this social media stuff. It's very, I will say, it's very intimidating. When I first started at my school, it was very like, in the beginning, it was like very traditional fashion journalism, but then obviously the social media got bigger, and so we take all these social media classes, and sometimes it's so nerve wracking trying new things, like being on a live stream and making a video. Like, I'm like you, I don't like to be in front of the camera at all. But, like when you have a situation where you're thrown into it, you learn to adapt, and
yeah,
you learn to
honestly.
try, and you learn to like kind of let it go and not be so like nervous. And but I will say it was nerve wracking doing that second one I did, because everything that could go wrong was going wrong. But it was a great conversation. Once we got everything set up, it was great. It was just before that, everything trying to get it to work. Technology can be frustrating that way. So I have one last question. So, what is your ultimate goals for your brand and as a designer, and everything?
One, I want to be living somewhere beautiful that I love, so I can be inspired every single day, but I can also be really happy, because I'm noticing when I'm not in the greatest headspace, and this is with everything, right? With anyone and anything. When I'm not in the right mind space, there's just a whole block to where I'm not inspired and I'm not driven to do these things. So I would really like to be somewhere that I love, and I don't know where that will be yet. But right now I'm in PA, and I think it will be somewhere outside of PA, and who knows? I'd like to spend some time out of the country learning, different techniques and this beading stuff, and then maybe be able to hire women in other places, and actually pay them well for the beautiful work that they do. I hope I'm able to create jobs for people like that. That would be cool to pay people well for the work, especially the women. Um, I hope whatever I'm doing, I'm making my people proud. That's, again, I know I've said that, but like that's a really, really big thing for me. I hope I'm able to provide awesome experiences for the people around me. So maybe that will play into different events that I put on. Like the thing is, like, we don't realize how we can touch someone's life. I know that sounds a little like, whatever, but we don't know how we are able to influence the next person or someone's life. So I hope I'm able to do that in a really nice way, whether it's a young person or some woman out there, or even a man, it doesn't matter who it is, but the things that we do, even these little things that we do, they really matter. So it's good to always keep like good intentions with everything that we do, because it's really easy to fall off from that. With life, how chaotic and hectic it can be, it's really easy to fall off the good path. So,
Sure, and that's a really great way to look at things. It's like the overall picture.
yeah.
You know what? I appreciate that you took the time to allow me to interview you and learn more about your brand.
Yeah,
And
glad you were interested in it.
yeah, I love seeing the other side of things because, like I was saying to Isaiah, I mean, as a writer, it's like, what do I show you? Like my sloppy handwriting on a draft? Like that's not the that's not the fun part to see. The fun part is seeing what the designers do. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see my notebook.
Yeah, no, you're the voice that is putting our message out there, so you're just as important, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But it's great to get a view from the other side.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I just want to let everyone know on the Philly's Fashion Phenomena Facebook page, I have posted her like behind the scenes process images as well as links to her final looks if you want to check them out. And eventually, what I will do is after this live, at some point, I'm going to record it and like kind of finesse it and add like a little introduction slide like I did with the other ones, and then I will make it available on Facebook Live and not Facebook Live but Facebook, and everyone will be able to check it out there as well. And I want to thank you again, and I want to thank everybody who watched, and I hope you have a good day.
Thanks so much. I hope I get to talk to you soon.
Sounds good, and let me know if you have any upcoming collections. That if you have any pictures and things of that you'd like me to check out,
Yeah.
and just be cool to get to see your collections as they develop and see how they change and how they stay the same.
Yeah, it's only up from here for the both of us. So here's the beginning.
For sure. Well, I hope you. Sorry, what'd you say?
Here's to many more.
For sure. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day and a good week.
Yes, you too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.